Friends, today's NRI Samay program from Los Angeles brought to you commercial-free by listeners like you. Your generous donations make possible for us to stay commercial-free, and today's show is pre-recorded. If you have a question for the guest, please send an email to nrisamay@gmail.com. We will follow up with the guest and find the answer for you. Thank you for your support.
Friends, they say no vote is no right. But in India, seems like if you're no vote bank, don't even dream of your rights. Ironically, this theorem is proved over and over again and again. Every election till date, while citizens cast their vote in our democracy, there are these forgotten souls or citizens who are protecting our democracy both internally and externally. 14 lakh soldiers, sailors, airmen, and 9 lakh personnel of the paramilitary forces and their families, all these uniformed citizens are effectively denied their basic democratic right to vote. The nature of their job is such that most of them have managed to vote only after their retirement. This is pathetic, and as I'm talking about this topic itself, it feels sad because when we talk about soldier, it's about emotion, it's about courage, it's about conviction, it's about many different things that kick in even when I'm talking about this. So good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Wherever you are around the world, this is NRI Samay, and it's me, Srikanth, back again with a topic that's most important to talk about than anything else that we have talked recently, and that's voting rights for our soldiers. And as always, yes, we do have our wonderful panelists ready. We have Major General Satbir Singh Saab, a warrior of 1971 war and a Sena Medal. He's been on NRI Samay radio for multiple times, and honored to have him back. General Satbir Singh Saab, thank you very much. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. God bless you all.
Thank you. And we have Neela Gokhaleji. She's a Supreme Court lawyer and also a wife of an army man as well, and who filed this petition and the importance of the voting rights for our citizens. Neela ji, thank you very much for joining.
Yes, thank you for having me.
Thank you. And from Citizen for Forces, we are expecting Megha Pandey very soon, and she works for Internal Communications CPA Global. I hope she would join the call as well. And we are expecting Colonel Anil Kaul Saab as well, who's got injured during the UN peacekeeping force in Jaffna, Sri Lanka against LTTE. And also I wanted to listen to Kaul Saab about how these voting rights are there for citizens and for soldiers in other countries as well. Interesting. We'll hope Anilji will join very soon. Neelaji, first of all, tell us the gist of your Supreme Court petition, please. That's the first thing I want to start off with.
Yes. To be very fair, to begin with, the Election Commission of India has undertaken various processes to reach out to individuals in the most remote locations of India. But it is very unfortunate that there has been no adequate and appropriate steps taken to facilitate the Indian Armed Forces personnel and their dependents to cast their vote. So what I have asked for in the petition is directions of the Supreme Court to the respondents, that is the EC, to actually devise and implement some mechanism which is effective to ensure that none of the persons belonging to the armed forces or their wives or their dependents are actually denied their adult franchise.
Wonderful. Ma'am, I wanted a little bit elaborate even before I take up General Satbir Singh Saab's views on this. I actually was working for this NRI voting rights, where NRIs also, we pay the taxes, we are also citizens, our passport shows that we are Indian citizens. So NRIs also effectively should get voting rights. When I asked this, when I asked an MP, of course you remember him, the MP who sprayed pepper recently in the parliament, so Lagadpati Rajgopal, when he came here, I asked him, sir, why is that when NRIs become so significant, you come over here and then talk to us and then deal with us? Why is that NRIs are denied the voting right? He said that the procedures, policies, and practices are complicated, and also it's not so easy for the election commission to implement this. And far beyond, he told me that it's a question of someone, misusing this whole philosophy of postal voting. Somebody would come to U.S. and then give $1,000 to each of these NRIs and then buy their votes and then post it to India or something like that, which I felt it was not the right thing. Any citizen, no vote is no right. So what are the problems? What are the intricacies involved? And what's the difficulty in this as such for soldiers who live within the country?
Yes, actually, the difficulties are twofold. Number one, that the enrollment of our armed forces members on the enrollment roll of the election commission is the major issue. Because the ordinary resident, you are entitled to be enrolled in a constituency where you are ordinary resident. Now, as far as the service voter is concerned, the election commission or the statute which governs all this entire procedure provides that you are entitled to be enrolled at a place which is your native place. That is because of your service qualification, your native place is taken to be your actually constituency, ordinary residence. But this is very difficult because a person when is commissioned in the army or recruited in the army does not necessarily go back to his native place. And he has nothing. He has no knowledge, no awareness as to who is the candidate, what parties are there, for whom he wants to vote. Therefore, he wants to be registered at a place or enrolled at a place where he is presently posted, which is very fair actually, because he knows what is happening in that particular place and he wants the benefits or the facilities in that particular place where he is residing with his family. Now, the problem is the Election Commission puts a qualification on this and says that if a person in the army or the armed forces member wishes to enroll himself and his family as a general voter, then they have put to place two conditions. One is that the person has to be residing at that particular place of posting with his family for a sufficient span of time, or at least for a minimum period of 3 years. Now, this is very irrational because it has nothing to do with an individual voter. So that seems to be the difficulty number one. And number two, in any case, even if a person wants to register as a service voter or enrolled in his native place, the problem of the postal ballots reaching the service voter and reaching back the electoral officer of that constituency is very, very difficult. So these two problems have been highlighted in my petition to the Supreme Court, and that these are actually the main issues involved.
Wonderful. Even before I come to this, I just wanted to ask Sadhbir Singh Sir, what's the history of this voting rights for soldiers since independence? This seems to be so weird because 67 years after independence, and that too people residing in India and also our own people, our own citizens who are in turn protecting our citizens within the country. What's the history of these voting rights, sir?
Right. Thank you to everybody. And the statements initially made at the start of your program, as well as Mrs. Gokhale's arguments which has been given, I totally agree with the statements as well as the arguments put forward by the Colonel's wife. She's an advocate. We met once or twice on these issues. Unfortunately, right from the beginning, the soldiers have not been put into any focus of taking part in the votings. I do not know why that has happened. Starting with the 52 elections, it was the responsibility and earnest duty of the Election Commission to enumerate all the people of the country who would be authorized as voters to vote. Unfortunately, this house-to-house enumeration was never done initially for the 52 votings in Lok Sabha votings in the country here for the soldiers. Unfortunately, why? I believe that there has been a subtle thought to deny this to the soldiers and not give them this main right for maintaining their democratic rights to vote. Unfortunately, the people who serve to protect the same very democracy on the borders is been kept aloof from taking part. Thereafter, the two options were given to them. One was a postal ballot, and second, later on in some 2000 plus, 2003, 2004, was added another one called proxy voting. Now, unfortunately, both are impractical and have never worked on ground, and even the results are declared by the time the postal ballot gets in. This is because the time is too short. After the poll names are finalized and it reaches to the nook and corners of the country, they never return back. I had carried out this analysis last time in an assembly poll of Uttarakhand, where 140,000 postal ballots were sent to the soldiers at nook and corner of the country, and only 22,000 got returned. We took up this case. Unfortunately, the election commissions of India have not been people who are responsible, have not made sure that the systems are put in place, that the voters' the right is given to get themselves registered for soldiers at the place of posting. Now, this has been taken up by us, the ex-servicemen retired, now have little time more in life in the country, and we would like to see why this right has been denied to us. Now, thereafter, in the next polling in 57, then 66, this was again denied and not enumeration carried out. In 69, one unit officer in the northeast, they registered 400 voters at the place of posting. Now, the person who lost by 34 votes went to the courts, and he kept losing right up to the Supreme Court, and there is a Supreme Court judgment of 71. They said that a service condition cannot deny the voters, so the right of the voters to get themselves registered at the place of posting. So by that time or later, the Supreme Court judgment should have been taken into account in letter and spirit, and the soldiers should have been given this right to vote. If in a nook corner of the country, on the borders or anywhere, even if there is one villager, the people of the polling reach there and ask him to cast vote. In foreign countries, we've seen USA, we've seen other people, everywhere they are voting, there are videos available. Why India is denying these rights to the soldiers to get themselves registered? However, some places the people have started getting themselves registered in nuts and bolts, in few people, few numbers, but there is no system. Like very rightly Mrs. Gokhale said, that the families have to reside with the husbands to be authorized to vote. What is this? So we have seen this, and Rajiv Chandrasekhar, one of our independent MP, has taken the cushions and also went with us to represent. He even represented us in the parliament, with the election commission, and now he's launched even, along with Mr. Gokhale, another court case to the Supreme Court. The hearing is Friday, that's tomorrow, and we will, I'm sure that the judges of the Supreme Court will take appropriate action to ensure this very right is not denied to us, and orders are given and systems are put in place to ensure that the soldiers can get themselves registered across the country, anywhere, and it is the responsibility of the Election Commission which to ensure that this is allowed. And getting it done, there is no difficulty. We have units, we have brigades, we have got up the channels, everything is available with the unit. So unit commanders and the station commanders can be made EROs and make it possible even in 10-15 days time. The whole system can be put in place if there is a bill to do so. So this little gap, which is between the political systems, the Election Commission, and the Defense Services headquarters, as well as the soldiers across the country, they must not be denied. India is one integrated nation where this is the best example of national integration. Having any kind of different thoughts is ridiculous to my mind. And getting into politicization or something, no. Today, the whole world is awakened. Everywhere the knowledge is available. I'm sure soldiers also are the first citizens of the country, and then the soldiers later defending the country in their best possible conditions. So this is what the situation has happened, and we would like this soldiers' right to be given to them to get themselves registered, and nobody in the country should have any second thought. And at any place, whether it is political system, or it is judicial system, or it is the MOD or headquarters, they must not deny by any reason. There is no reason. Every logic will fall flat if they don't permit the soldiers to vote at the place of posting. They are enjoying all the constituency. Water,
I agree with you, sir. I agree with you.
Fire,
yes.
Sewage, everything goes at the constituency. Nobody returns back to the village in many cases because they also want the children to grow in the democracy, in the developing country of ours, a future world power, taking its proper shape. We are proud of our country as soldiers. We like to defend it, but we also like to have our rights, which are there sacred to us to preserve democracy of this country.
Absolutely, sir. And I just wanted to bring in Neelaji here. Neelaji, of course, you went to the Supreme Court, phenomenal effort on that front. But I hope you have already reached out to Election Commission, had some conversations, or you would have heard of what Election Commission's thoughts are on this. We're talking about two different things. Satbir Singh Saab told about postal voting right and also the proxy voting right. Postal voting right is something, people from the defense forces post it and it reaches out 10 days after the election is done. And also postal votes are counted only if there is any, a subtle gap between the candidates while the counting process is on, as I understand. But proxy voting is something on behalf of the person who's living, who's working for the defense, somebody in his hometown whom he nominates would be voting. And most of the times, the guy might be asking to vote for some party and he might end up voting for another party, the nominated person. So there are difficulties that wherever we talk about, there are difficulties. But what in your mind when you deal with Election Commission?
It hasn't worked. It hasn't worked in the country because this is not the done thing. You are given to another person, whosoever he or she may be. Secondly, postal ballot was meant only for the people posted in foreign countries and not within the constituency because it didn't have a constituency. Whereas in India, there is a constituency being serviced by the MLA and the MP. Therefore, what's the problem? They must be allowed to, wherever the families are staying, wherever the soldiers are there, they should be allowed to work there.
Right. And Neelaji, million excuses and a million questions that they bring in. You bring up any topic, they'll say something which will defeat the purpose. So what is in your sense would you imagine that we can cut the deal here so that soldiers would get the voting rights, ma'am?
Yes, as far as the postal, proxy ballot by proxy is concerned, I don't think that is really legal because legal as in there is a provision for it. But I think that a vote is something very personal, and we all know that it is a secret ballot. So therefore, I don't think a vote can be a transferable right. A person cannot transfer his right to vote in favor of somebody else. So that proxy should be out of question. Number two, as far as postal ballot is concerned, the Election Commission in its reply to the Supreme Court has said that the postal ballots would be dispatched on the date when the last date on which the nomination of a candidate is allowed to be withdrawn, obviously, and they would wait for the wait for the postal ballot to be returned to them till the date of counting, actually. So they say that in the first phase, that there would be there would be around 45 days or so for the postal ballot to go to the person and be back. But by the same logic, as far as the last phase is concerned, there is only 16 days from the date the ballot is actually dispatched from the electoral officer to the time the votes are counted. So why this discrimination? Why does a person in whose constituency the first phase takes place have more days than the person in whose constituency the last phase occurs? So there is no rationale behind it. So therefore, I feel that perhaps the solution would be to actually, as far as service voting is, as far as voting by postal ballot is concerned, for service voters for whom the ordinary residents they want to vote in their native place, for them probably, or because in the glaciers and in such far-flung areas where even speed post or courier is not available, and less to be said about the postal facilities. So for them, perhaps they could even fly in the ballot box and collect the votes, collect the ballot papers from the soldiers posted in such far-flung areas, and actually count them over there, or bring them over here and count them, and how many number of votes in a particular constituency can be communicated to that constituency and added in that constituency's number of votes. So there are ways and means in which this thing that could be worked out, but there has to be a will, a real, genuine, and sincere will, which I feel it's a little bit inadequate.
Right. And ma'am, my question, can you confirm this, ma'am? It's like postal voting. Let's imagine postal voting is approved, and then there are some facilities or procedures, policies that are put in place wherein soldiers can eventually post it. Would that really make sense, ma'am, or it doesn't make any sense, right? Because postal voting, as Sadhbir Singh Saab said, postal voting and proxy didn't really work. So I think we should move away from that topic anyway. And ma'am, my other question is, in America, there is a concept called early voting, which we tried in Delhi as well for almost 1 lakh government workers who are working for the election or polling. We done early voting in India, wherein you send this ballot papers and everything 45 days ahead of time and then fly it down for counting purposes. Would that be something that makes sense, ma'am, for you?
Early voting, actually, that possibility has not been, according to me, explored properly in the country by the EC. So that will take some time, and I don't think it will be possible in this election. So I think whatever is possible and whatever can be made viable should immediately be implemented and made effective, so that at least in this general election, which seems to be a game changer of Indian politics, the application of mind, actually the representatives, the choice of the armed forces members and their families as citizens of the country, as actually counted citizens of the country, as members of right-thinking members of society, are given an opportunity to actually exercise their franchise. So this has to be the main issue, and it has to be implemented and acted upon as fast as possible, with elections just around the corner.
Absolutely, ma'am, because people residing in jails are given the voting rights, and even in many countries, and it's ironical to even imagine that soldiers are just staying away. These soldiers are the ones who protect these elections. They are the ones who are guarding these politicians. I certainly feel I meant it when I said that this is not a vote bank kind of a thing. Otherwise, when somebody when there is some clashes that are going on and someone dies, and it becomes a huge furor in the parliament and assemblies in various different states. But if CRPF jawans and others are killed, it's just a normal topic, because I think nobody cares for it. It's so ironical, and I think this topic should pretty much be alive, so that in this elections at least there is some meaningful thing that happens. Already the Supreme Court has given some directions to. Mm-hmm. Go ahead, please.
Yes, I would just want to say one thing, that this thing has been given. A fiction has been created in the minds of the serving people, that in order to talk about this, or to say about this, is something which is political. But I want to express this, and I want to actually put it on record to say that just asking to exercise the right which has been given to you by the Constitution is nothing. There is nothing political about it. It is simply a right of a citizen, a right of a person, an individual as a citizen of this country, and there is nothing. Just a sham is being made out to to just spread that speaking about this or asking for a right to vote is something political, or in case this 3 years condition or sufficient span of time or being with the family in a peace station, all that is removed, then probably some political parties would want to canvass in your or campaign in that region, and the whole the color of politics may be given, and the armed forces should be kept away from politics, and etc. is not really correct, because this can happen in a peace station. Even if you remove the condition, or even if you have the condition or don't have the conditions, this can happen. And there are ways and means to protect this. You can, in fact, say that provide that no campaigning should be done in a cantonment or something like that. To preserve the integrity and the security of the nation. But to say that it is political, to ask for exercise of a right constitutionally given to you is something political, is completely wrong. It's completely wrong, and nobody should spread this message across. This is what I want to really say.
Absolutely, ma'am. And also in the midst of World War II in 1940. Yeah, sorry. 1 second, sir. 1 second. I think General. Yeah, please. 1 second, sir. I think General. Yeah, 1 second, sir. We have Colonel Alim Kaul Saab who joined the call, if I'm right. Sir, are you there on the call, please?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Namaste, sir. It's been a pleasure. Thank you very much for joining. I was expecting you for quite some time. Thank you very much for joining, sir. And also, thank you. And also Megha Pandey from Citizen for Forces. Ma'am, are you there on the call, please?
Yeah. Hello.
Pleasure. Hi. Thank you. Thank you for joining, ma'am. And let me come back to General Sadbir Singh Saab. Sadbir ji, you're saying something. Please go ahead, sir.
Yeah, I was saying that this bogey of being the political apolitical should not exist now in the developing and developed countries of the world. India is a 120 crore people, and soldiers are part of this country and a very, very important functionary to protect the integrity and sovereignty of this country. Why is it that he has been denied its normal rights up to franchise, on which many thousands of soldiers, they have laid down their lives to get this independence and thereafter to maintain it, this integrity and sovereignty. The soldier, when he steps into wearing the uniform, he takes this oath, is an unwritten agreement with the nation and the soldiers. Now, why is he not being treated, or she not being treated as a normal citizen of the country? So I'm of the view that whatever rights, on the same day what is possible, that methodology should be worked out, that he is allowed to vote at that place where he is having all the other facilities, that this MLA and this MP is accountable to him in that cantonment, wherever in the country it is, and to have any other doubts or any other, attributing certain motives to those areas or those places, maybe in far-flung areas, maybe J&K, maybe Northeast. Why? Isn't it part of the whole country as integrated nation? So there is absolute right of every soldier and his family members to get himself, herself, themselves registered at the place of posting for which that constituency exists physically within the parameters area of the country on ground. And therefore, when he or she is having to stay there, the families stay outside the cantonment also, and the accommodations are less. For this particular election 2014, there should be nothing else but to allow the soldiers to vote at the place of posting. Other two haven't worked for the last 65 years. And therefore, I'm telling you, I have served for almost 40 years in the country. I have never been able to vote so much I would have desired. So we held a seminar in which we found none of the soldiers have been allowed to vote. While the country looks up to the soldier, to wherever there's a lot of respect for them, why is it that the political system is not permitting to do so? And this bogey of being political, apolitical is out. Everybody is enlightened.
Yes, I agree with you, sir.
Personal. It cannot be frittered away or given to somebody. Therefore,
absolutely, sir.
I think it is befitting that we, after 65 years now, at least we wake up and allow the soldiers to vote at the place of posting.
Absolutely, sir. Humans are political animals, and it doesn't matter. Apolitical and political doesn't make sense. Democracy is all about people, institutions, and politics. And the rock bottom thing is, if you are a citizen of this country, you got to have some voting right, and that's the bottom line. I definitely, in a personal level, resonate with you and with your ideas, sir. So let me bring in Colonel Anil Kaul Saab, even before I bring in Megha. Megha has been waiting for some time, sir. Anil Saab, the reality is that you've worked outside countries. You've been in Sri Lanka. You've been representing the country in multiple places as well, sir. Tell me something, sir. When you look at other countries, what's the sense you get, sir? Why is this political establishment for 67 odd years have put away the soldiers who are actually sacrificing their life for the cause of the country? So, what do you think?
Personally, I can only give you my take on this. Out of the last 65 years of our independence, I have served this country for 32 years. And besides my professional acumen and whatever little I've done for the country, I feel that there is a different angle to this whole thing. When I can contribute to the wherewithal of this country in more ways than one, including the economic prosperity, why should I be denied a fundamental right which for X, Y or Z doesn't make any difference. It's a question of exercising my rights. And I give you a personal example. I belong to Kashmir. I have served, I think, all over the country during the last 7 or 8 elections that I've held during my service tenure. I have never had the chance to vote even once because of something called a postal ballot, which either never turned up or turned up too late. So the pointed issue here is that if you deny me the right, you are denying me participation in the process of democracy, which I feel as compared to other countries, where even in the war-torn areas of AFPAC and Iraq, US and the NATO countries, whenever they had elections, voting booths were put up in the war-torn areas for their soldiers. Why can't we have in peacetime India? I don't understand this logic at all. And if this question of 1 day, 6 months, 3 years, 1 year is applied universally across the board, acceptable. But why have a differentiation between what is expected out of a civilian person and what is there for a soldier? Why should there be a difference between the two? These are questions which need to be answered by the government of the day and the election commission, which first and foremost have no authority to lay down any instruction on the subject because this is an act of parliament. My take is that these are redundant issues which are being drummed up just to serve somebody's personal interests. And this must go.
Absolutely, sir. I agree with you on this. In the midst of World War II in 1945, the British have set up polling booths in the jungles of Burma for their soldiers to vote. In 1945, we are talking about, way back ages almost like. So it's definitely true.
But besides, the soldier today is a much more well-informed person. The media, has had a very big impact, and he's a thinking mind. He'll make up his own decision. Why do we always fear that everybody will vote for this chap or that chap, and therefore there will be a change in the whole system? There's going to be no change. Each individual is a unique mind. Each one has his own opinion. What's about it?
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely, and thank you, sir, for your opinion. And Megha, I think I'd
like to add over here that
Please.
There is an issue like the Kashmiri Pandit migration of 1989. If the soldiers who have sacrificed their lives, including myself, in Kashmir, we are not allowed to vote over there. I mean, isn't it ridiculous that today there is a major issue of renaming temples, this, that and the other, and we have no right to go and say, sorry, we don't agree with you.
Yeah. Sir, when you brought up this issue of Kashmir, I just wanted to go a little bit over that. So even the right now, when the Supreme Court has given directives to the Election Commission with regards to soldiers getting voting rights, it seems like Kashmir, Andaman, and places like Assam are taken out of this particular directives from the Election Commission that I'm seeing. What's happening here, sir? Why avoid Assam, Andaman, Nicobar Islands, and Kashmir? Can you throw some light on that, sir?
No, these are again vested interests. These are vested interests of individuals who are holding the powers of the corridors of power. There has got nothing to do with the ground situation. After all, if I am serving in any one of these areas, why should they be left out of the ambit? Are they part of the country? What is so special about them? After all, there is a problem. If there is a problem in J&K or in the northeast or XYZ, it has been tackled. Issue. This is a separate issue. Why mix up the two? Because ideas propagated by somebody, and the correct perspective is not being put across. And unfortunately, our country does not understand these things. We are only those who talk on talk shows and on general public is unaware of the intricacies of the convolutions that are taking place due to some vested interests.
Right, absolutely, sir. So let me bring in Megha here. Megha, I'm so sorry, I've been waiting for a long time. Megha, I've been hearing from different sources also, and every citizen resonates with this idea of soldier having a voting right. It's a matter of emotion for a lot of citizens as well. You know, the soldier is sacrificing their life, and we as citizens are unable to back this genuine request. Megha, you also representing Citizen for Forces, and when Ankit Gupta from Citizen for Forces posted this message on Facebook, I quickly reached out to him asking, hey, what's the background for this? Can we get Sadbir Saab and few other people to come and talk about this, because a lot of people are not aware of this situation. So Megha, what sort of initiatives are you guys taking from Citizen for Forces in order to promote this message of citizens having a voting right? What are you guys doing, Megha?
See, as the organization Citizen for Forces, we emphasize a lot on the youth of this country. For us, they are the fulcrum of any kind of a development, growth, or change that we want to get in the country. So Citizen for Forces has been going to the youth, which are there in the colleges and in the schools, organizing seminars, sessions, getting them to know about the subject so that the awareness is raised, and then they can think for themselves how would they like to take a decision on it. Would they like to go with us, or do they see any kind of sanity in the kind of happenings that are going around? Also, we are using social media, as you already mentioned, that there is a petition that is there on the Facebook. So we cannot undermine the power of social media in today's age. So we are using that as well. We are also using the age-old methods of Nukkad Nataks and roadshows, wherein we can garner maximum attention, we can have a lot of footfall, and we can talk to a lot of people simultaneously and let them know how it is, and make them also aware of the fact that there are soldiers who are fighting, yet they don't get the most basic right, which is the premise on which our democracy is based. And so goes there. And also, not leaving aside the corporate offices, although we haven't received any kind of support from there, but yes, we would be reaching out to them in a more aggressive manner. At present, we are running this movement in Hyderabad, Delhi, and Gujarat. As and when it starts growing and we start getting participation, we plan to move it to other states. And of course, with support of people like General V.K. Singh, General Satbir Singh, Colonel Joshipura, Colonel Anil Kaur, we are sure that we will make an impact and we will bring the change.
Excellent, Megha. And I also have seen videos from Citizen for Forces YouTube channel. You know, they're really good, and it's spreading the message. Yeah, and I liked it. You know, and Megha, the point is, you know, the farm sector in our country has got all these unjust practices by various governments, because farmers are not united, unless there is a sense of unity. It's a sense of camaraderie, not as in unity in order to fight someone, but a sense of camaraderie. Farmers are all disconnected, dissipated across the country. So, the government, when it talks about minimum support price for them, farmers should bend and then listen to them. Now, go ahead, please.
Yeah, please.
So I was saying that, unless there is a sense of support and sense of camaraderie and then the community itself raising their voice, this is not going to work. What sort of support do you get from soldiers? Because as Satbir Singh Saab and Anil Saab was saying earlier, that, a lot of, there might be a misconception amongst the soldiers that, raising voice and asking for a voting right would be like going against the basic philosophy of being a soldier or something like that. What sort of communication channels you have got with the soldiers community in order to engage them and then educate, and you also in turn getting educated? What sort of camaraderie does you as an organization with soldiers have got right now?
See, the organization has always been going to the border areas, has always been interacting with the soldiers. And now I guess that with the constant interaction and with the constant exposure to politics as well as to other happenings around the country, they are getting more aware of the basic funda wherein being politically conscious is actually not being political in nature. So we've been constantly talking to them, interacting with them, face-to-face conversations, and with leaders like General Satbir Singh, Colonel Kaul. We have been able to get this idea in their minds that yes, they have this is supposed to be as good as their birthright if they are living in this country. And we are getting their participation. This entire movement is actually it has started, and it is garnering a lot of support from all nooks and corners. And we are hopeful that even they will leave aside whatever thoughts that they had and would come together and would ask for it. So
right. And I think we almost came to the end of the show right now. I wanted to hear perspectives from Neelaji, General Satbir Singh Saab, Anil Saab, and also from you, Megha. Let's start with Neelaji. Neelaji, from the Supreme Court petition to also awaiting a judgment for tomorrow, Friday. I think the court is going to spell out the stance on this particular issue. Neelaji, what's your bottom line expectation? What do you think is going to happen?
No, I think that the Supreme Court is well seized with this matter, and even the Election Commission probably would be making a sincere attempt to, it is not an aggressive petition, but an exercise whereby these problems can be brought to the fore, discussed, and a collective solution may be, brought out. So that is what my expectation from the court is, definitely that the court would take into account the problems faced by the armed forces and the dependents, and considering the difficulties also which may be actually genuine or otherwise, would be solved, and a mechanism would be evolved whereby this problem would not exist.
Absolutely, and thank you very much, Neelaji, for joining today and then helping us out understand more on this issue. And let me go to Satbir Singh Saab. Satbir Singh Saab, 2014 elections, phenomenal, effort from the Election Commission as well. What do you envision yourselves doing this time? Do you envision a lot of soldiers going out and then voting in their regiments and also the cantonments or whatever we name it? But do you dream of seeing that, sir? What's your sense? All right, I think we've lost Satbir Singh Saab. General Anil Kaul Saab, what's your what do you think is going to happen, sir? All right, I think we lost Anil Kaul Saab as well. Megha, what do you think is going to happen? You have already been on the forefront of this issue. The organization is promoting everywhere. So Friday's judgment is awaited. Sure, what do you think is happening? Mm-hmm.
I'm sure it's going to be a positive impact. I mean, that will be quite encouraging for us. I'm sure they're going to go out. Indian politics is taking a new phase altogether. There's a lot of awareness. Politics has now entered the drawing rooms. Everyone is talking about it. And I don't see that why should a soldier be refrained from it. And he is also seeing around. He is also getting a catch of it. I'm sure that there's going to be an impact. What needs to be seen is how deep the impact is and what it leads to the future. And that is what
Absolutely.
I think now.
Absolutely. And once again, from the bottom of my heart, thank you very much, Neela Gokhaleji. Thank you very much, Megha Pandey. Thank you very much, General Satbir Singh Saab, Anil Kaul Saab. Thank you so much for joining and then expressing your views, opinions, and also to Citizen for Forces who brought this issue to the forefront. And also I thank Ankit, whom I reached out to as soon as I saw this message on Facebook, the flyer from Citizen for Forces. And thank you very much for coordinating this effort. Thanks once again.
Thank you so much for...
Thank you. So friends, that's about it for today. Yeah, thank you, Megha, once again. And friends, those soldiers who defend the democracy have right to participate in this. You know, how ironical is this? And as you have heard from Neela Gokhaleji, General Satbir Singh Saab, Anil Kaul Saab, and also from Megha Pandey, you know, this has been an issue that we are dealing with, which is very significant. 2014 elections around the corner, and I hope, sincerely hope, there would be some sort of reasonable voting rights for soldiers. As always, you know, every election date, while citizens cast their votes in our democracy, these are the forgotten souls of citizens for protecting our democracy both internally and externally. We're talking about 14 lakh soldiers, sailors, airmen, and also 9 lakh personnel of the paramilitary forces and their families. And these uniformed citizens definitely need the right to vote. The de facto disenfranchisement of these soldiers or sailors or whatever we call begins with the voter registration and electoral list revision process. And I hope the Election Commission is going to come up with some sort of initiative in easing this process. Definitely a soldier in Arunachal Pradesh obviously cannot be present in his home in some sort of southern India to vote, and it is not feasible as well. So I hope there will be some resolution, and we are awaiting a judgment tomorrow, and as Neela ji explained the expectations of tomorrow's outcome, we'll see how it goes. So friends, come back every week, Saturday and Sunday, to listen to these wonderful shows, and we'll have wonderful people, amazing citizens who push hard for the cause of the country and the nation. And you can listen to all these shows on youtube.com/NRI Samay. Do like us on Facebook, facebook.com/NRI Samay. We're on Twitter, twitter.com/NRI Samay. Have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. Do spread the message of NRI Samay to all your friends. Thank you again. Bye.
Friends, if you liked today's show, please go to youtube.com/NRI Samay and click on the subscribe button. You will get notified every time we publish a new show. And you can also like us on our social media sites like Facebook, Twitter, and Google+.